Welcome back, Roger. For the benefit of new viewers, can you give us a background on your firm as well as your role there?
I'm the CEO of Quinsam Capital. We're a publicly listed company that specializes in the small cap and micro cap sectors in Canada. We primarily are engaged in investment in these companies. We also offer them some help and assistance to help them become more successful in the marketplace.
What effect do you think that the recent Brexit vote will have on North American equity markets for the remainder of 2016?
The impact of Brexit is still very difficult to assess. In Canada, we've had a somewhat unusual impact in the microcap space. On Friday, when world markets were crashing, the Canadian Venture Exchange was actually up because of the importance of gold stocks to the Canadian Small Cap Index. So we really here have an unusual situation where Brexit is quite positive for small gold stocks, even though it is a negative for most other types of stocks. So here, I would say to date, it's been in the small cap space overall neutral, but it really depends on whether you've been active in the gold space or not.
So what small cap sectors do you like at this time and why?
Well, we tend to focus primarily on technology, healthcare, and small industrial and consumer products companies. We do occasionally play in resources. We've had very little exposure in oil and gas over the last year, which has worked out very well for us. We tend, generally speaking, not to have too much gold exposure either, so we haven't had all the benefits that have occurred to investors who've been very active in that space, but we have had some nice exposure there too.
Do you typically like gold, and is this a good time to be in the precious metals space?
Well, gold has obviously been very strong. We have seen some very large movements in some gold shares, so I think at this point one has to be careful and cautious in the gold space. That being said, we think in the microcap space there are still many gold companies that have not really seen any impact yet. So we think selectively there's some great opportunity still, particularly when you're dealing with gold companies that have Canadian exposure, because we've had the benefit not only of the rising US dollar gold price, but also the benefit of the falling Canadian currency.
The last time we spoke, you mentioned you liked a company called Dynamic Hybrid Technologies. Can you give our viewers an update on this?
We do own EHT, and it has not been one of our better picks, I'm afraid. That being said, EHT we think is still poised for success, and we're sticking with it.
So can you tell us about any smaller microcap names that you currently like and why?
Well, in the gold space, for one of our recent purchases was Augustine. It's involved with a significant gold deposit in Ontario, so it's got the benefit not only of the rising gold price, but also the potential to produce in a Canadian dollar cost environment. It's in the midst of a merger with one of the co-owners of its property. We think that this merger will have a very positive benefit because it will give a majority ownership in the property and full control of it. We think that Augustine will report improving reserves. It's had a long history of drilling where core has been drilled but not ever assayed and analyzed. So we think that there's some good news flow to come as it works through this inventory of core. We think we'll see improved resources with very little exploration cost because the core already exists.
Thanks for taking the time for today's interview, Roger.
Thanks very much.